Hey guys, what's going on? We're live with the Black Homeschools. I'm going to start with you describing to us who you are and what it is you do. My question goes like this. Tell us your story. What inspired you to create Kindred Learning, and what did you notice was missing from homeschooling? So you can start by telling us who you are, how you got started, where we can find you, and then just let us know what tipped you off to the need that you provide.
That's right. Well, peace, everybody. My name is Deanna Sherman. I'm the founder of Kindred Learning Adventures. In addition to the many hats that I wear, I am a homeschooling mom of 3. I've been homeschooling for the last 7 years. I have been facilitating and organizing Kindred Learning Adventures for the last 6 years. And I have taken my love for nature, eco-consciousness, STEM, and inspired by the thoughts and inspiration of my children to create a community-based learning curriculum. So how did I make Kindred Learning? Well, Kindred Learning became something that was necessary for my family when I made the decision to homeschool. I immediately knew I needed to find my people. I immediately knew that I did not want to do this by myself. And I actually attempted to enroll my kids in public school, my first child in public school. And when I went to the orientation, I sat back and looked at the overcrowded classrooms. While public school teachers work hard and are doing amazing jobs that they have to do every single day, I just didn't feel like they met the needs for what I wanted for my own children. And so I decided to just redshirt my child, keep them home for that 1 year. And then had every intention on putting them in school the next year, just to let them mature, let my older son mature and just be ready for all of the chaos that can come in overcrowded classroom environment. And what ended up happening was during that year, I started, doing all the research, finding the curriculums, looking for the co-ops, joining every Facebook group that I could possibly find that was going to bring me to people. And COVID hit later that year, right? COVID hit and it was like everybody was scrambling, trying to find what to do, or the kids are out of school, what are we going to homeschool, or, and I quickly realized that I was in a different position than some of these families who had decided to homeschool, and that there was going to be a need for families who made this choice or did not make this choice and just sort of happened upon this choice. So I started kind of raking in families I'm like, look, we're just going to be outside. This is when everybody was really conscious about where you were spending your time and who you were with and where you were going and if you're inside or outside, all those things. So I said, let's just go outside. We're going to be outside. We can have all the space to grow. And we started hitting up the parks and the farms. And next thing you know, the crowd just got a little bigger and a little bigger and a little bigger. And I realized that it was time to start organizing and really making the process for onboarding and joining our crew of families easier and more fluid for both me and the families that wanted to join in. So that's how I became getting into Kindred Learning. It just sort of stumbled upon me, but I'm grateful for the opportunity.
I'm so excited. I'm glad. I have to brag because we had the opportunity to come and join you guys with our class. You did an outdoor art class at a pavilion in a nature walk. We got to pick leaves. It's incorporating science, environmental science, and then also PE sometimes because it's physical activity. I love that you offer something, and a lot of your activities are, I need to be there every single week, or I have to be a part. And some of the things you can drop in and participate in. And I just love I love to have access to that type of program. So I wanted to share that. And where it connected with my homeschool and what I needed, because I didn't know where the parks were. When I first got there, I didn't even know that there were trails, right? I had no idea that you could do that there. So that was very helpful for me. Let's talk about one of the biggest questions homeschool families get asked. What about socialization? How do you tackle that? Because I have my method, and then I know you probably have your way too. And of course, clearly you're outside with other families, so we know you're checking the block of socialization. But what's your personal philosophy for families?
Well, when it comes to socialization, it's not just about proximity, right? It's not just about being around other people. It truly, when it comes to KLA, is about building relationships, building your confidence and your communication skills, working together in meaningful experiences. So what happens with KLA and on our adventures is what I feel are these meaningful learning opportunities that sort of encourage communication and the different level of socialization that's not just small talk. These kids and families, because we also specialize in something called family style learning. So we invite the whole family to be a part. So parents are learning something or active in doing something. The smallest of the siblings have something to engage in, and everybody in between those folks. So we are family style learning, which gives a lot of opportunities for families and the children to and our learners to interact in a meaningful way. And so it creates a rhythm of friendship. So once we see each other, we kind of know this is what we're going to do. We're going to take turns. We're going to look out for somebody. We're going to inspire thought or ask questions or join in on something or involved in a teamwork activity. The kids already know that this is coming, and it just gives them a chance. So maybe if they didn't get it right last week, maybe they missed that opportunity to share what was on their mind. They are constantly in this rhythm that will eventually, and so even the quietest child, even the most reserved, or perhaps even some folks might use the word shy. That's not a word that I like to use to describe children, but maybe a child that just takes a little time to warm up eventually finds that time to warm up. And so our children are practicing community, building community in real life. So it's not even really practice because that's what they're doing. It's not just about learning. It's about learning how to be around people and interacting. We're interacting not only just with each other, so across age groups, but across learning styles, but across lived experiences. We are interacting with lots of community educators that are perhaps even public works, the farmers, we have even a space where we invite community educators from within the community that maybe has a skill or an ability that they would like to share that maybe they don't really have too much teaching experience, but that's where I and some of the other parents come in to support them on how they can take something like compass reading and turn that into something that is a skill building opportunity and a chance for building friendship and connection. Well, you know, the question really isn't, are they socialized? But what kind of social world are they growing in? Where are they growing? They're getting a chance to really say how they feel. Do they feel heard and supported? Do they feel safe to share? Are they in a spot where they say something that it's going to be followed through? And this is something that is a part of that socialization piece, that we're not just sticking them in a room and hoping that they figure it out, but we're giving them the tools and the space to navigate social relationships across age groups and across lived experiences, and changing pedagogical approaches to just get them interested in what we are enriching them with in any particular adventure. So we might see also, with this learning across age groups, we also get to see opportunities for leadership from our older students to our younger students, or even our younger students to our very younger students, or sometimes our younger students to our oldest ones. They have lots of opportunity to help one another, to speak on, resolving conflicts, all of those things, introducing yourself, showing gratitude. There's so many opportunities for the children to engage in socialization. Absolutely. So it's not about socialization just being proximity, but where are they and what are they doing when they are socializing?
So I love that you've given me another tool. So the tool that I want to take out of your tool case is I grew up with teachers, and I'm going to have a very experienced teacher tonight that raised me. She's been in the public school system for over 40 years, right? So people who are used to and my mom is a veteran teacher, homeschool grandma. But people who are used to the school system and they think their children are getting socialization while they're there because they're in a building with other children, when they pull them out, they don't realize that some of what they were doing in there wasn't even positive socialization.
Yeah.
So I would like to steal what you just said, and then I'm going to equip myself. And this is for any mom who encounters this question, like, well, what about your kids' socialization? My response to that is truly, I'd like to develop a socialization that's better than a traditional school. So we actually focus on positive socialization environments, and we focus more on how we're introducing them into socialization. That's actually a part of our education. It's not like, You wear a shirt, you wear pants, you get socialization. It's not like that. There's some depth to the way that we create socialization in homeschool, which also makes it a different way for your kid to experience it. I know, and I've been saying this, we've got the fastest growing demographic in the homeschooling community as
That's right.
African American families.
That's right.
The fastest growing demographic. And our people are pulling kids out of school at every grade. So, because that's happening, we've got to give them the resources that we've worked to get, and it needs to be visible, and it should just be a part of what. And one of the things that I want to debunk is that school is the only place that your kid gets to be around other kids.
That's right. That's right, Kalecia. You make a great point. I mean, that's exactly right. I mean, the socialization piece in a homeschool environment that is supported with community is the it's prime real estate for healthy socialization. The other piece is with it being a family style learning environment, your children in an environment like what KLA creates allows the children to see their parents socializing, right? And we're not just dropping off and taking off, right? But that our children are watching us collaborate with one another. We're parents are looking out for other people's kids, and other kids see other parents as a source of support. And so the socializing that's happening is very much, how do you ask for what you need? How do you create a healthy boundary if something has gone on past something that you're comfortable with? All of those opportunities, and to be able to be supported in that through and through. And, and even in an environment like homeschool, you still experience conflicts, and we can take the wait and watch approach, but knowing we're watching and we can step in if we need to support. We don't always have to, because they can figure it out, and they're able to figure it out because they know that they have the support to be able to do that. And I couldn't agree with you more that yes, the socialization piece, it also comes down, like I said, it comes down to the parents too. How well are you willing to socialize? And maybe you're not interested in socializing as much, and you have a social butterfly, and that really sends you up the wall. But there's still quiet ways to socialize. There's still a way for you to show up on time is a great way to socialize, right? Showing up on time, maybe staying back a little bit to help stack the chairs or pick up. You don't have to carry on too much in the conversation, but as a leader and as a community, we see that as a valuable asset of showing that you are a part of the community. So socializing doesn't have to be carrying on and having these long-winded conversations, but it also can just be being present and making sure that we know that you're there, and that you're happy to be there, and that you're willing to contribute to the vibe that we create in that space that we hold. Absolutely.
Okay, so I love your belief that community itself can be a classroom, which is exactly what you're discussing. What does it look like when we move beyond the dining room table and we get into museums, farms, parks, businesses, and nature to become a part of a child's education? Now, this is in the field education. And how are you finding ways that that's happening with your organization?
Right. So with KLA, again, with a community-based learning model is our pedagogical approach. We believe that children can learn through experience, not just reading about it. So we try our best to create a hands-on, tangible way to take in what you're learning. And it's enriching. It gives the children a chance to deeply connect with what they're learning by touching it, seeing it, moving, asking, observing, participating, all of those qualities. So a farm, we could go to the farm and just go pick berries, but a farm can also teach us about food systems. A farm can teach us about ecology. A farm can talk to us about or teach us about labor and working hard, right? Stewardship. How do we care for the land? A creek can be just playing in the creek and splashing around, but it could also be a science lab. It could also be a citizen science project. It could be a lesson in environmental responsibility. So, we could take these moments like being in a museum where we can learn about history, we can learn about art, we can learn about science, and really immerse ourselves in spaces that are enriching and full of just passive learning that the kids really, 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 truly pick up. And what ends up happening in an environment like this, when we make the community our classroom, it gives home another space to engage when you're excited. Right. So a lot of what happens after enter our adventures, and you mentioned I think we did tree identification years and years ago when you came, maybe the kids never really stopped and looked at the different types of trees that were outside. And now all of a sudden they're like, wow, this is a different tree than this tree. And I think I remember what was the tree? And we teach the skills on how to identify trees, maybe using dichotomous keys, or maybe we're leaf rubbing, or all different kinds of ways that we can begin to do tree identification. But the kids even know that there's a process to identify trees, right? And so then it goes, well, maybe it's about trees, but what about flowers? Or what about insects? Or what about car parts? Or what about, it just begins to be this cascade of events that just makes learning come to life. And you will find that a lot of families and a lot of learners who spend time in KLA end up going down these little vortexes related to maybe some adventure that we've gone on that has, enraptured, enthralled them and taken them by storm, where now they want to get into soldering, or maybe they want to get into eco-consciousness, types of activities. And so, yeah, so I remember, and I use the term learning beyond the dining room table, because I don't know how every other mom started homeschooling, but that just felt like where I was supposed to do homeschooling. I remember trying to set up this classroom environment, which was great for my younger learners. I mean, it was really great to try to recreate this school environment in my house. And then I started reading about all the do school at home, and I'm like, so we ended up at the dining room table, which is covered in glue and ripped, and scratched up and all of these things. And I'm like, look, we got to get outside. This is not going to work. And so, going beyond the dining room tables, that somehow this is the dining room table is a great place to teach, especially across multiple age groups. But being at the dining room table to me meant limitations. It meant not being able to be out there and taking in a moment that was a missed opportunity to be out on a sunny day or even a rainy day. And so teaching beyond the classroom really means activating the community that's around us, especially when you're in a metropolitan area like the DMV area that has a plethora of options to use. We can learn about chemistry or fractions just in a bakery shop. Tons of trails, all different kinds of. The classroom is really outside, and you can mix and match it however which way. Don't threaten me with an opportunity to make a lesson out of something, because I could turn anything into a lesson.
Absolutely.
And it's passive, and it doesn't feel like we're scratching on a worksheet, and which is no shade to that. I think that is one way that folks can learn or show you what they've learned. But with KLA, we are outside, and we are taking in what the community at large has to offer for us as consumers and as educators and students.
Okay, so Kindred Learning Adventure is rooted in creating culturally affirming spaces for Black, Brown, and marginalized homeschooling families. Why is it important for children to learn in environments where they feel seen, valued, and respected?
Great question, right? Because I love Black people. That's number one, right? And I love us, and I would choose to be me in every lifetime. But why is it important? And it is because children who are in culturally affirming spaces learn not to shrink. They learn to stand tall, and they can stand tall in other environments, but it's something about being in a space where you aren't othered, that allows you to just really root in and grow your branches. It allows them to not have to brace themselves before belonging or figure out how are they going to fit in. Now, here at KLA, we do hold space for allied families as well, but we centralize our philosophies of community building around holding space for Black and Brown families. And that means that they are able to show up fully with their name, with their hair, with their story, their family cultures, their questions, their way of learning. All of it is included. And culture is just not just about our Blackness, right? That is definitely a major portion of it. But we have families that are interfaith, right? We have lots of different faiths that show up in the diaspora. We hold space for that too, right? That you can just be who you are. You don't have to shrink that version of you. If that's how you decide to show up in the world, that we have space for that, because what we are coming together around is about learning in our community. And building community. That's where the heart of KLA lies. And so it matters because children can see themselves and their families and their culture reflected with care, with love, with appreciation, with celebration. And And this is sometimes a breath of fresh air for some children who have to still navigate spaces where they are not centered. So this becomes a place to just let it go.
I
You're
love it.
here with aunties, with your cousins. We refer to our membership as we are family. We are the family that we choose to be around. And that's important that we find congruencies in our Blackness and we celebrate and we make sure we celebrate into those. And so yeah, having spaces where my child is not the only one is paramount, actually, like top level of importance in creating this space of our allied families and friends, and that's great. And we can catch them in another spot.
No, really.
But here is where we are unapologetically holding space. And that also means that we are also holding our community educators and the businesses and the places that we patronize. We're also holding them to that standard as well, that we feel welcomed, that we feel valued, that we are cared for when we go into these spaces. So we also are making sure that we're protecting the way we are spending our time economically in the community, that we are valued and appreciated when we show up, and that we're cared for and loved.
I appreciate
Absolutely.
it. That's awesome. Thank you so much for being that, because I know a lot of people, it takes courage to conquer the unbeaten path. Let me say it like that. Because for a while in the homeschooling world, it was more about conforming to keep from being a visible target of disciplinary action by a school system or by a government system. Or so, number one, some of the families have already been trying to keep their nose clean. Right. So to keep my nose clean, I might just go and emulate in a group where I may not be able to fully educate my kid culturally because it might draw too much attention. That would be negative attention that would create an unrest or maybe a disciplinary action that I'm not aware of within the homeschooling governing community that I'm close to. So earlier today, I asked my guests to give us some organizations or leaders that you've worked with and partnered with that we can also look to that supports your vision and that hey, KLA worked with just LDA. KLA trusted the Heave organization. Whoever you feel, I'm just throwing those two names out. Let us know some of the leaders or maybe some organizations that you can shout us out who we can go and look up to.
Yeah. Well, without just plugging everybody all the way through, I definitely think one of the things that I do is when I'm reaching out to organizations, I'm very clear about who is showing up
Mhm.
and how I expect things to sort of materialize as we are there. HSLDA has been a wonderful resource just for my personal journey as a homeschooling mother. I think of them as the homeschool teachers union, homeschool teachers union, because it comes with legal support. And while Virginia has been really a lovely state, they don't really get too much into what you're doing. We have proof of progress and sorts, but they have not been litigious necessarily in my experience. But it's good to know that you do have legal representation in the event that you might need that. There are lots of the state parks have been a great resource for our group. They're used to working with folks all across cultures and age groups, and they have been lovely. Some of the local services that are around here, the Soil and Water Conservation District has been wonderful to work with. But you know what, Kalecia, we have worked with over almost close to 200 locations. And yeah, we've almost gone on. Well, this next season, we'll be celebrating our 200th adventure.
That's
And
awesome.
it is awesome. It is awesome. And not to, and with that being said, we've only returned back to the same place maybe 3 times. And it's because it's our favorite farm. So we've gone to lots of different places. Lots of different places. I could give a whole laundry list. What I'd love for people to do is to reach out to me through KLA. So yeah, I think HSLDA has been they have made it very apparent that they want to see diversity amongst their constituents. But for the most part, I think I have not run into a lot of folks who have not been welcoming or excited to celebrate what we were bringing into to any given adventure.
Beautiful. For a family who is homeschooling and feeling isolated or unsure where they belong, what encouragement would you give them about finding their community and creating a joyful homeschool experience?
You know what? I love this question. I love this question because I think as an organizer, this is something that I hear a lot of, that, man, I was just out here by myself, or where have y'all been all this time? You were this close. And so I like to start by saying that if you're feeling isolated, it doesn't mean that you're doing homeschooling wrong, right? It just means that there's an opportunity for you to make something better, right? Homeschooling is so multifaceted. And if you've already made the decision, putting that paperwork in to say you're taking your kids out of school, you've already started a really hard job right there. You've already accomplished one very hard task, just getting through the paperwork stuff alone, right? And really making that choice to take your kids out of something that is a traditional learning space. Many families go through a season of trying to figure it out. So if you still haven't got there yet and you're still feeling like you're alone, there is a time period where you just are in a moment of figuring out, what kind of homeschooler do I have? Are they the I need to be outside? Are they the drop me off at a really high level STEM class? You're still figuring that out. And so a part of that isolation can come from during that time of feeling isolated. I don't want to use it in quotes because it can feel really isolating for some folks. But if you're in a time of isolation, this is also a wait and watch kind of time as well, where you will begin to find, okay, what might I want to try? The other thing that I want to say in that is that when you are in that wait and watch time, when you're ready to make your move, show up. Don't ask so many questions. Don't give yourself qualifying statements. Don't do any of that. Pull up. Being an organizer who has gone from a time where I had 5 kids, 3 of them are mine, I know what it feels like to really put yourself out there, right? But what I didn't do is every adventure I treated like it was going to be full of people. So I was always waiting for that person that would just show up. And when you say you're going to show up, show up. Show up. That's how you find your community. When you just keep showing up and coming on time, coming when you say you do. Stay a little bit behind, give a hand, and you'll start to find your rhythm in that space. Don't worry about you have to start a co-op right from the beginning, right? You can start really small with just one family. Find that one. I was on Facebook in the beginning of my homeschool journey. I might even have DM'd you. I don't know. I feel like I DM'd all the people. I looked for words like Woodbridge, Virginia, boy, kindergartner. In the search, anybody who had that in their name, in their post, in their anything, got a message from me. Like, hey, I have a kid. I want to get outside, even if it's just a playground. And what ended up happening is the playground kind of got played out. The playground was cool, but I really knew I needed I didn't want to miss out on these valuable learning opportunities that my kid could be having with another child that's parent actually showed up. Okay? Start with the park day. When you're at the park and there's another kid that's about your kid's age and it's in the middle of the day, they just might be homeschoolers. And if your kids are playing and having a good time, go over and sit on the bench next to their parent. Are you homeschoolers? This is how I met a lot of the people who began and have stuck with KLA are people that I DM'd way back in the day, people that I met in the library, people that I've ran into the park, or word of mouth. And I showed up, they showed up, and it happened. But the moments that were missed are if I cancel, if they don't show up, it's these missed opportunities. So joining in at the park, those local library homeschool things, or, I don't want to sit here and say that they're corny or anything like that. I'm not going to say that because the library has great resources. But you might think like, oh, who am I going to run into it's usually you'll find one of them. You'll find one at least that might be, this is their library. This is already in their rhythm. Hey, I'm thinking about coming back here next week on Thursday. Do you want to join in? Maybe we can get a study room and it starts to build that way. But showing up is the first, really, after your watch and wait period, showing up when you're ready to show up is just it. No qualifying statements. Oh, it's raining, or it's too early, or, what am I going to do with the little, fine. At least with KLA, when I share adventures on Facebook, I'm hoping that those families that read it say, this is my time. This is the time I want to go out and go roller skating today. You can think of so many reasons why you shouldn't go roller skating. Don't do that. And even if you aren't going to roller skate, just come, just be there to eat some pizza and play some video games and be ready to just show up, because that is how you're going to find your people. And that's how you're not going to feel isolated. Nobody's going to come to your house and knock on your door and tell you to come outside. I mean, if you lived in my neighborhood, I probably would. But if you don't live in my neighborhood, I'm probably not going to do that, right? It's not going to come to you. You got to I see in our group all the time, all of the invitations for this, that, and the third. And I hope that those folks who are putting themselves out there are finding the people that they hope to find by inviting them on a journey for learning in whatever way that it looks. There's such an assortment of opportunities for homeschoolers to learn. Just in this Facebook group alone, in the DMV meetup co-ops and field trips group, where that's what we do. And it's Black centered. I mean, it can't get any better than that. So I hope that even if you aren't attending, like it, love it, make sure someone else gets to see it. Because that also just takes a little edge off of that feeling of isolation. If you're just sitting home and just scrolling through, yeah, you're alone. But giving a like or a love is a way for someone who maybe goes, oh, well, somebody liked what I put out there. Maybe the next time, maybe I can send them something else in the future, or, who knows where the connection comes. So putting yourselves out there and finding that constant rhythm of doing so, not just a season, but a rhythm. I'm going to check, we all scroll. Most of us do. If you're on a podcast right now on one of these 3 spots, it's probably because you've scrolled enough to find it. So make that scroll count and make it work for what you want, especially if you're feeling a feeling of isolation.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm not going to hold you for a very long time. This is my last point. I want to talk a little bit about what we have going moving forward. We do have the big homeschool conference coming up on August the 1st in Washington, D.C. You are in our community in this area. How can we get Kindred Learning experience? Will you be around? Will we see you? How can we connect back with you? What's the next field trip? You see what I'm saying? Like,
Absolutely.
Where can we go now? Now I want to go where you're going. And I know a lot of moms have been looking for you, and they don't even know how close you are to them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
help us find when we're going to see you again and what you have coming up next.
You got it. Thank you, Kalecia. Yes. Well, for starters, yes, we are centralized in the eastern side of Prince William County, which is the Woodbridge area. So we are in a great halfway point for my folks that are coming down from Stafford, or some folks that are coming on the northern side of the Beltway. It's a good halfway point, but we are all over town. So one, I will encourage you to head over to our website, kladventures.org. Join our mailing list. I often send out campaigns and invitations for opportunities to visit. Actually, tomorrow, we will be embarking upon a citizen science project that I'm looking for more middle schoolers to join in on. We have adopted a stream over here in Cloverdale Park in Woodbridge. And so we're going to be helping to some of the restoration efforts to get this stream cleaned up. One of the most lower performing streams in the Prince William County. Our KLA has been welcomed in partnership with the Prince William County's Soil and Conservation District. And we will be taking on a big job for the next year to clean up this stream, not just picking up the litter, but using chemical and benthic macroinvertebrate testing which is a fancy way of saying we're looking at the bugs that live in the river in the stream to understand its health and to do a project to figure out how we can improve its health. We also were winners of an international science competition this past season, and we will be coming back for more, because if you won, why can't we come back and just try to do it again? So we'll be getting into some competitive sciences. Keep your eye on, go onto our website, sign up for our email list. I will be sending out some invitations looking for more middle schoolers to participate in competitive science programming in the next week or so. And so how do you follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram? We're at KLA for the kids, number 4, KLA for the kids. And I think that these are great ways to, now I will say our community is as open as we are. We take security real serious. So it may feel hard to get in touch with me specifically. One, because I'm also just a homeschool mom and still doing my thing, and I'm not always readily available. So the email campaign is the best way. And when you see that email campaign, interact with it, click
Yeah.
it, send off for the forum, do your, respond, send me an email. Any of those ways, these are the ways that when folks show me that they find their way to get in touch with me, those are the folks that I really follow through with. And our website is a great way to catch everyone. But if you really are interested in what we got cooking at KLA, I encourage you to send me a message on Facebook. I encourage you to join our email list or send me an email directly. We're at kindredlearningadventures@gmail.com. Adventures is plural, kindredlearningadventures@gmail.com. But the best way is to interact. When those campaigns come along, when I throw a post up in the group, the best way is to interact with them. And then, as I mentioned before, pull up, show up. Show up when you say you're going to show up. We haven't had too many problems with that recently, but I feel like those people who really want to connect, just pull up, come out and hang out and do something fun in the community with Kate.
Thank you so much. Well, I appreciate you. I want to end our session by challenging everyone who's watching to continue to stay vigilant and noticing when you see our community sharing things, getting on top of, being a part. I love that we get to be outside with you. I love that we get to come outside of the house and go do stuff. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you here, is because I'm an outside homeschool as well. I like being outside every way all day long in all forms and fashion. I grew up on a farm. So for me, that is where school happens. So I just really value it. If you're not a part of our Facebook community, you need to join our Facebook group. You can join all of our Facebook platforms. In the comments of this video, you'll go back through this week. If you're watching later, you'll be able to see all the links. I want to challenge you too, Deanna. Just go ahead and put all of your comments in the after the video is over, come back and leave us your links in the comments. That way we can always have a place to find you. This is also going to be published on YouTube, so you'll be able to share this with all of your friends and family, guys. So thank you so much for being our guest. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Don't forget, guys, August the 1st in Washington, D.C., we're taking over. We have our second annual Meet Me at the Museum field trip on August the 31st. It's free for all families. If you're going to be in Washington, D.C. on July the 31st, come meet us at the museum. If you're going to be in Washington, D.C. on August the 1st, come meet us at the conference. Thank you so much for bringing KLA to us. We need you. We're so happy. We love it. And I'll catch y'all on the flip side. Thank you, Deanna. Doses.